I went one day without using AI last week. Not as an experiment. My API key expired and I forgot to update my billing. And I sat there, staring at a blank document, genuinely unsure how I used to start writing. That's when it hit me. I wasn't using AI as a tool anymore. I have become too dependent on it to start work on my own. But here's what scared me more. I had no idea when the switch happened. Dependency doesn't announce itself. It creeps in disguised as efficiency. Some people might think AI dependency means if ChatGPT goes down, I can't work. That's not actually how it always shows up. The real dependency is cognitive. When you quietly start handing over thinking to the tool because it's faster. In the moment, offloading cognitively feels good. Long term, it quietly shrinks your thinking. On the other hand, study shows that reduction in offloading came along with lower immediate task performance, but more accurate memory in an unexpected test. This matters because, according to Daniel Kahneman, System 1 operates automatically and quickly, with little or no effort, and no sense of voluntary control. And System 2 allocates attention to the effortful mental activities that demand it. AI keeps you in System 1. Our goal is to pull ourselves back into System 2. Today, I'm going to walk you through 5 signs that you've crossed from using AI to depending on it. And more importantly, what to do about it. First, you struggle to start without AI. Your brain has learned why generate when I can delegate. This is where metacognition comes into play. One of the classic definitions is metacognitive knowledge is one's stored knowledge or beliefs about oneself and others as cognitive agents, about tasks, about actions or strategies, and about how all these interact to affect the outcomes of any sort of intellectual enterprise. In other words, good learners notice how they're thinking. So try these. Can you write 3 sentences on the task you're working on before asking AI? If you can't, dependency might be creeping in. The next sign is the confidence gap. You start trusting AI's answers more than your own, even in areas you actually have knowledge. Part of the reason why that happens is that AI can sound super confident. But there's research pointing out that hallucinations are outputs from generative AI that are both nonsensical and incorrect. And it gets worse. LLMs can fabricate facts, references, or data while presenting them in a convincing manner. So if you ever thought it sounds right, so it must be right, that's the trap. So how can we fix this? You may want to consider a disagreement list. Here's what I think versus here's what AI said. That's you doing metacognitive monitoring, not just consuming. The next sign is that you can't explain why something works, just that AI suggested this structure. But monitoring and explaining are the parts that build judgment. The person's metacognitive monitoring may mediate much of the effect on the person's control of cognitive processing. The more you notice your thinking, the more you can control it. There's also work on teaching critical thinking that fits perfectly here. We argue that the key element for developing this ability is repeated practice in making decisions based on data, with feedback on those decisions. If you're using AI to learn, close the tab and teach it back. If you can teach it, you own that knowledge. If you can't, you're depending on AI. The next sign is that you stop verifying content in the sources because AI already summarized it. We have data showing the large language models still make things up. This alone is a reason not to blindly trust summaries. And the people who are actually good at this, professional fact checkers, don't stay on one page. Fact checkers read laterally, leaving a site after a quick scan and opening up new browser tabs in order to judge the credibility of the original site. Compared to other groups, fact checkers arrived at more warranted conclusions in a fraction of the time. Even if the summaries from AI sounds very confident and convincing, make sure to check that source and verify the content that's listed in the source. The next sign that you're too dependent on AI is that you're using AI to avoid making the call. This could look like you re-asking in different ways, hoping it'll tell you the answer you secretly want. So if you catch yourself doing 5 versions of the same prompt, you're probably not looking for insight. You're looking for permission. The next time, before you ask AI, write down, what decisions am I avoid making here? 1 point each for these 5 signs. If you're in the yellow or red zone, consider this. Pause before using AI. Can I attempt this first? Then use AI, but make sure to verify your sources. Keep this in mind. This isn't a one-time detox. AI is getting better, which means the pull to offload is getting stronger. The people who will thrive aren't the ones who never use AI. They're the ones who keep noticing when AI starts thinking for them and change course before they become too dependent. Run your own dependency test this week. What is one sign that caught your attention? If this video helps you become more aware about whether you're becoming dependent on AI, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel and the newsletter. The links are in the description box. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.